Arun, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this interview because our audience knows Levi's, and as an American, I grew up with the brand. I mean, it was my back-to-school clothes. Every summer, I'd go get my pair of Levi's jeans, and I would have never guessed, 30 years later, here we are in China talking about your brand. So let's start with the name. Levi's.
Yes.
There's also a competitor called Lee's. So as you come to China, how do you approach the name?
Well, Levi's is the most iconic brand in the denim wear business, with the first jean that was invented back in 1873 by Levi Strauss himself, and that's where the name Levi comes from. Working together with Jacob Davis, they riveted the denim jean, and today it's become famous as what we know as Levi's. Global brand, sold around the world in 110 countries and more than 50,000 retail locations. And we're so proud to be here today and have this opportunity to connect.
Well, as you say that story, I know that story because I've done my research, but I was shocked. In Shanghai, got into a taxi, was talking to a taxi driver, and he said, America is a great country. I said, why do you say that? He said, because you have brands like Levi's.
Yes.
I said, Levi's? How do you know Levi's?
Yes.
He said, it's a 100-year-old brand, oldest jeans in the world, first jeans in the world, and the logo is even two horses pulling apart, trying to pull apart the jeans, but they can't. He knew that story, and I realized you've done something right here in China to make it, to bring it to a level where everyone knows your brand and your brand story. And in this next hour, we're going to unpack what you've done here in China, how you've made a success. Let's go back to the early days, though, because it was somewhat of an overnight success when the first jeans were invented. They were originally coal miners' pants, weren't they? Yes,
and back in the day, I think coal miners, gold rush people, honest working class people needed durable quality clothing that would hold up to the rigor of their day-to-day life. And Mr. Levi Strauss himself, together with Jacob Davis, as I mentioned, riveted and invented the copper rivet, which really allowed the product to hold together over time, and it was durable. It was known for its quality, and that's something we've retained over the last 142 years since we've had the jean.
The founder of Levi's, Levi Strauss, was the youngest member of the family from J. Strauss Brother and Company in New York City. In March 1853, he represented the company and headed to America's West Coast, which was just opening up, and became one of San Francisco's newest entrepreneurs in American history. In China, we call jeans cowboy pants, but actually, Levi's first target group was for miners who had traveled west for the gold rush. And between 1866 to 1886, jeans became popular with another group of workers, the cowboy. From miners to cowboys, Levi's transformed their products and successfully built up its image to represent Western roots in the 1930s.
I'm also very interested in how the demographics of your target market have changed. Okay, we just said it started out as miners, then it went to cowboys.
Yes.
Then there was a gold rush in the U.S. history where a lot of people left the East Coast to go to the West Coast and search for gold. And of course, that was literal. They wanted to find gold in the hills and the mountains and the rivers, but it was also a figurative one, too. They wanted to find their fortunes in the West. So Levi's pants became the choice for those in the gold rush. That was a clear target market. How has the target market changed now? Are you targeting any gold rushers here in modern day?
Yes. So unfortunately, there are no gold rushers in the traditional sense since that's still around, but I think what is
sure
consistent...
there are. Foreigners coming to China might be one.
Yes, I guess that's another way to say it. And I think what is unique about Levi's has been the fact that it's been worn by pioneers, and it's the spirit behind what Levi's represents. It was really about going out to explore the world, look for your fortune, find yourself and find your future.
When did it transition to cowboy pants? Okay, of course in China, jeans is 牛仔裤, which means cowboy pants.
Sure.
How did it become associated with cowboys after it was made for miners?
Well, the product, as you know, as history evolved, the product evolved with it. And so we've always tried to stay with the consumer, with the trend, and we continue to do that today. So as an American heritage, an iconic brand, Levi's has been with the American consumer through all of its evolutionary stages, if you like, from miners through to cowboys, then through to the rock stars of the 50s and 60s and 70s, and today to today's style seekers. So we've been relevant along the way with generations of consumers in the US and around the world, and we aim to do the same here in China.
Now, as the pants have evolved over time, as you just said, how have they changed? They still have the rivets, is that right?
Absolutely have the rivets, and we have the red tab logo on the back of the pocket, and we have the arcuate, the arc, which is clearly identifiably Levi's.
Before the 1950s, Levi's jeans were not so acceptable in upper-class circles, since the brand image was heavily related to the hard-labor working class. However, during the 1950s, many Hollywood movies featured men in jeans, such as James Dean in the film Rebel Without a Cause. He was a hippie cowboy, isolated but cool. Soon after, the Beat Generation followed, which was a group of authors who rejected standard narrative values and influenced American culture in the post-World War II era. Their loyalty to jeans was representative of their nonconformist spirit. And soon after, on Independence Day, the 4th of July, Levi's advertisement was placed next to National Celebration News, positioning their brand as national adventure expression. In other words, to support the United States meant buying a pair of Levi's.
Arun, 501, 511, where do the numbers come from?
So these are lot numbers. I'm not exactly sure of what the story was and why it was 501, but that was the first lot number that we created.
It wasn't the 501st gene.
It wasn't quite the 501st gene, I think. But the point there is, I think the lot numbers really help consumers shop. And I think with the 501, we have the classic look in a very classic product. But as you go up the numbers, for example, in a 504, you get a slightly less square look. If you go up to the 511, which I'm wearing, is a more slim fit. If you go to a 510, it gets skinny. So as the numbers move up, the fit gets more and more slim. So it helps consumers shop and certainly helps us tell our story as well.
The Levi's 501 jeans was one of the best-selling jeans of all time. The original and first ever blue jeans, the 501, was made in 1873, and the number 501 came from the lot number of the fabric which was used to manufacture the jeans. A pair of 501 jeans that was made within the years 1886 to 1902 once sold for $25,000 in 1997. In 2000, Time magazine named the 501 jeans the fashion item of the 20th century, beating out the miniskirt and the little black dress.
People started mixing and matching a coat, a jacket like you have now, with a pair of jeans.
Yes.
So how have you seen Levi's evolving to fit a more upper-end market?
I think that's a great question. So, for example, you mentioned my jacket. This is actually a Levi's product. It's from our Made and Crafted line, which is a more premium expression of matching tops and bottoms. We also have the Made and Craft denim line. So we do produce premium goods. But the beauty of denim, just going back to your question, is it's very democratic fabric. It's worn by rich and poor, young and old, and it's lasted the test of time. And the beauty of this product is not only does it wear well and last long, but it allows you to dress on all kinds of occasions. And you very rightly pointed out, from rock stars to, and you mentioned the case of Hermes. I think consumers today are looking to express themselves in their own way, and make their own choices with product and brands. And it's not just about having one type of look and feel. Depending on the occasion, on the day part, and who they're meeting and what they're going to be doing, and whether they're going out in the evening or going out for a coffee in the daytime, the dress represents and sort of speaks about who they are, how they see themselves, and also an expression of their style. And so this cross-matching of tops and bottoms, the top-to-toe look, which mixes different styles, has become a trend.
Levi's entered the China market in 2001, only 14 years ago. According to an edition of Fortune magazine published in 1997, Levi's closed 29 factories in North America and Europe. 4 years later, the first Levi's store opened in Shanghai. Why did Levi's wait so long to enter China? Stay tuned to find out.
He was one of the youngest hedge fund managers on Wall Street.
8月份出道，10月份发生亚洲金融危机。
你的第一位客户，
他给了我60万美金，1年就赚了300%。
And is the darling of Chinese entertainment media.
我们的婚房可能也不止2个亿，所以说。
有人说新娘子一定是看上了你的钱。
我希望她能看上我的钱，那就很简单。
On the next Minds of Millionaires, we meet Jiang Kai, chairman of China Fund. Stay tuned.
Les feuilles s'agitent, les nuages se baladent dans le ciel, révélant les caresses d'une brise. À l'instant où le zéphyr embrasse la balançoire, un musicien de la rue Bayard émet sa première note. Le ministre et sa compagne traversent le sentier du Quai d'Orsay. Papy Brochard recevra un cadeau d'anniversaire en provenance de Chine. Amélie, à Shanghai, note sur son JO sa prochaine destination en France. Étudiante devenue designer, j'ai vu la France sous différents visages. Lorsque les grandes maisons françaises s'installent à Shanghai, Laurent accueille son 9e client chinois dans son salon coiffeur à Paris. Dans les rues françaises, flottent les drapeaux chinois. Au fond d'une ruelle chinoise se diffuse le romantisme français. Plus près, encore plus près, je dois sentir, toucher, découvrir les secrets d'une France authentique.
Bonjour la France.
Bonjour la France.
Bonjour la France.
Having hosted Getaway for 6 or 7 years, it's been an amazing experience. We've gone to places that you would never dream of going to. It's made me feel that the world is really a small place. You see a culture that's been preserved for thousands of years. People that go about their ways in a form that you would never have thought possible. In 2015, Getaway is going to be coming to you every Sunday night at 7:30. Care to join us?
The very first multimedia program on ICS Fine Dining is sharing its most delicious flavors with foodies across Shanghai. We'll show you the most popular restaurants in town. Our unique team of gourmets also give us a few great recommendations. Now you can just scan the QR code on the screen and download the Fine Dining app for free. Rare dishes and all the best in culinary culture are only available for online order and are easily purchased by Alipay Wallet.
我们的脚步遍布全球，
跟海外路路通去新西兰，
美国加州的克莱蒙城
New York State，
好莱坞，各大位于纽约。我们深入每一所学校，
麻省理工学院
University of Rochester，
弗吉尼亚大学有2万多名的学生。
我在杜克大学，
在地理位置上，南加大与它也十分的接近。克莱蒙特五校联盟，每周6晚7点 ，ICS 海外路路通准时登机起航。
In the 1980s, it was reported that Levi sold 5.02 billion pairs of jeans. Talk about sales in your first month in China. Do you remember that back in 2001?
I do not have specific figures to share from that time, but what I can share with you is that over the last 14 years, as the business has grown consistently, we've continued to invest for the long term. China is a key strategic market for Levi's, and we are here for the long haul. It is important that we continue to invest in the consumer experience, continue to provide great products and services, and most importantly, continue to innovate and stay ahead and meet the consumer where they will be tomorrow. And that's been our consistent focus over the last 14 years as our business has continued to grow in China.
I wonder if you're learning from Starbucks with that strategy. My first trip to China was in 1999. I went to a Starbucks in Beijing. It was empty.
Yes.
Now you go to a Starbucks 16 years later, they're filled. Even foreigners who go to Starbucks can't find a seat because they're packed out. So I know Starbucks also had a long-term vision for China. They weren't here for get rich quick, fast profit. They were here for the long haul.
Markets like China are not quick and easy markets. These are markets that do require a long-term view and strategic engagement. Certainly for Levi's, we take this market very seriously. It is core and critical to our future growth, and we really appreciate the opportunity that we have to do business in China, and we want to continue to invest and grow.
Now, every CEO I've interviewed talks about the competitive market in China, how unprecedented the cutthroat atmosphere here is compared to other regions in the world. In 2015 year-to-date, the CBPI ranking of jeans sales in Asia, and China specifically, has 3 of your competitive brands above Levi's. Mettersborn Jeans West ranks above Levi's. However, Mettersborn has also seen a 33% decrease in the past 3 years here in China. So talk about Levi's sales and growth in the past 3 to 5 years. Who are you up against?
There is intense competition. Everybody wants a piece of the action in China. But I think the important thing is to take a long-term view. There are some great competitors, there are some great local brands, and we have a healthy respect for our competitors. What we're focused on doing is ensuring that we continue to innovate, both on our consumer experience, innovate on the product side. Let me share with you some of the things we've done. For example, Chinese New Year, a very festive, very important time of the year. We, for the 3rd year running, we've created a Chinese New Year collection, which addresses a specific need state, a specific occasion at that time of year. Speaks to local relevance, respects the culture, but it's also a fantastic product.
Tell me when you entered the China market.
So that was in 2001. So we've been here for almost 14 years now. It's been an absolutely fantastic journey. As you well know, we've all experienced this immense explosion of growth, increasing prosperity, and also consumers that have evolved at breakneck pace to appreciate and ultimately become very confident in themselves and also become very sophisticated. So for us, it's been an absolutely fantastic experience growing with the market, growing with the opportunity, and developing a relationship with the Chinese consumer.
Now, what did you find in 2001? I can imagine that jeans were already being sold in China, so did the Chinese consumers even know about Levi's?
Well, I go back to your taxi driver story. I think that's a great story. So the fact that our brand has become well-known and appreciated for its quality, the 2 horses pulling the jean apart, right? I think that we have been successful at reaching out to consumers, not just in Tier 1 cities, but in Tier 2 and 3 cities. We have a strong presence online as well right now. So I think the business has expanded and grown as the opportunity has presented itself. And we've been able to reach consumers all the way down to Tier 5 and 6 cities now. We have almost 700 plus stores across China, and we have a strong online presence. So our focus is to create an omni-channel consumer experience at all touch points. And as we've seen the explosion of the social and digital media, as well as provide another great opportunity for us to connect with our fans in many different ways.
你觉得印象当中是一个什么样的品牌？应该比较相对来说，以前是比较感觉比较粗犷，现在有点更回归现代。作为这个美国文化里面的一个非常突出的、非常杰出的一个代表者，然后代表了美国人那种自由啊、随行的那种风格和精神吧。
就是一个比较向上的那种。那个余文乐那个广告不是在这里吗？那个广告里面还挺有 passion。对，是吧？对，好。
Many people get their fashion cues from celebrities. No matter which continent or country, people believe that the brands that celebrities wear must be in vogue. Starting in the 1980s, Steve Jobs adopted his signature look of a black turtleneck, Levi's 501 jeans, and gray New Balance sneakers. And on the other side of the world in Asia, the top Japanese actor, Takuya Kimura, made Levi's popular.
Now tell us how your brand has changed or altered for the China market since 2001. What did you learn? What worked well and what did you need to change?
We did a lot of research around fabric, a lot of research around fits. So we did fit safaris across China in Guangzhou, Beijing, and Shanghai. and we tested hundreds of different fits to create the perfect fit for the Asian woman.
That's near impossible because Beijing, sometimes the stature's taller than that in the south, Shanghai as well. How did you do that? How did you choose 100? I mean, I would imagine you had the spectrum, right?
Yes, it was a challenging assignment, and what I can share with you is that at the end of the process, we have developed a whole new collection. We still use the lot number, which is consistent, but we've got now a wide variety of fits that would address different shapes, different need states, and also different styling preferences. So fit, fabric, and finish, all of those have been addressed. And this allows every woman to look great and feel great.
Now, what about your pricing strategy? One of my favorite Levi stories is a pair of Levi's I got in the States at an outlet store, $7 US. But when I went to the UK, I found out the same pair were selling for £200 back in the day. So how do you position the brand around the world, and how do you choose the pricing points?
We do have outlets in China. We also have a presence online, and we have this big choice of product range that we present to consumers for them to choose.
According to statistics from EB Run, November 11th, or the Double 11 shopping day of 2014, the sales of Levi's ranked the third under the jeans category of menswear. The sales volume was about 17.3 million RMB, and over 42,000 customers placed an order. Even though China is still a large producer of jeans, however, Chinese people only own 4 pairs of jeans per capita, which is far from the global total of 7 pairs of jeans per capita, not to mention jeans' country of origin, America, where Americans own an average of 8 pairs of jeans per capita. According to market predictions, the quantity demand for jeans in China is going to expand from 12% to 15% over the next few years.
How do you establish your pricing here in China compared to prices around the world? And with the new WTO ruling coming in the future, will the prices be able to be lowered?
We are creating products of great quality. We are doing so sustainably. We have responsible practices as a company. We pursue profits through principles.
How do you train your employees, the sales staff? Because if you have 700 stores, that's a lot of employees.
First of all, we're very proud of our partners in the stores. They bring the brand to life, and they're our denim experts. They are the front face of our denim leadership program. Through our denim leadership program, we not only help inform and arm our employees with product knowledge, but also help them to understand consumer needs in terms of the look and feel consumers want to achieve, understand their style, and then recommend products that make sense for that consumer. I guess the consumer opportunity in China has happened at a very fast pace, and Guangzhou was sort of the natural port of entry for many brands in the past. But as we can see today, I mean, China is hundreds of cities, and there are giant city clusters which are the size bigger than the size of some of the individual countries in Europe. So the greater Shanghai region itself, for example, is as big as the economy in Switzerland. So it just tells you of the tremendous opportunity and the tremendous strategic importance China enjoys for every brand, and certainly for Levi's. This is a huge focus for us. We've established a very strong presence in Tier 1 cities. We also have a very strong presence in Tier 2 cities. And through our 700-plus store network, we're now into Tier 4 and 5 cities. Consumers have evolved not just in Tier 1 cities, but even in Tier 2, 3, and 4 cities. They're buying some of the more styled, more damaged and finished product, what we would call premium high-end product. They have a great appreciation for product at all price points and at all different silhouettes that we're offering. So we're seeing that consumers leapfrogging in Tier 2, 3, and 4 cities.
What are you doing in 2 and 3 and 4 tier cities? Are you doing anything extra there, social media or a media placement that you're not doing in the Tier 1 cities?
So we're reaching out to consumers at all touch points through our presence online. And in fact, a lot of the consumers that shop online are actually from Tier 2 and beyond cities, not necessarily only from Tier 1 cities. That's a great way to reach consumers. It's a great way for them to engage with our brand. And our products are available online on Tmall, on Levi.com, on Jingdong, and a few other portals. So through the online space and through the stores that we have, and also through social and digital media. I mean, we all are part of this sort of digital and social revolution.
If you wonder where your jeans were made, take a look at the manufacturing label on the inside of the pants. You'll be surprised that most of them are not made in China. the jeans industry is moving to countries like Vietnam and Pakistan. And although China has led the world in terms of manufacturing, now this position has been taken over by other countries. According to domestic jean sales statistics, one of the best denim textile supplies from Turkey. And in fact, the Turkish brand Isco represents the world's largest sales volume, supplying to many global brands, including Levi's.
Before I moved to China, I was on a citizens advisory board for a large chemical company, just because I lived not too far from the chemical plant, and they wanted the local citizens to understand how they operated. So every month I would go there for a dinner meeting and understand what they were doing. But what I learned is that factories in the U.S., all wastewater must be drinkable. So everything coming from the plant must be so clean and pure, it's not going to harm the environment. So as Levi's looks for manufacturing plants around the world, how do you treat the environment? How do you keep these high standards?
So let me share with you some of the initiatives we've taken around water saving and water conservation. Sustainability is a great driver of innovation, because when you put constraints on yourself and you ask yourself the question, how could I produce this piece of garment using less water? How can I encourage consumers to use less water?
Especially when you have water-treated jeans, right?
Absolutely. And so, just to share with you a few facts, we have a waterless collection which we've eliminated up to 96% of the amount of water that was used in the processing of jeans.
Levi's established Eureka Lab at their headquarters in San Francisco for research and design. Just about only 8 weeks ago, they transferred a key employee to China. What does this move signify for Levi's view of the China market? Stay tuned.
Now, you've talked a lot about technology and design, but I know in the China market you have to be fast, speedy, flexible. And I've learned this from New Balance, also from Bare Material Science, where they said the process for new products for them might be 6 months to a year in the West. But here in China, if they release a new product, 3 weeks later, their competitor is going to have a very similar product on their shelves as well, very fast to the market.
Yes.
How can you be speedy for the China market to keep up with those fast trends?
So as a company, we have an innovation center which we call Eureka. It's based in San Francisco. And part of the reason we have it in San Francisco is it really allows us to collapse development time and bring products to market a lot faster. And just to share with you that almost 80% of the product we sell worldwide has come to the Eureka Lab. So we're able to test prototypes, develop prototypes, and also finish prototypes, between 30 to 50 fit and finished prototypes every single month. And that allows us to not only speed up innovation, but also bring products to market faster. And that's the way we continue to ensure that we are timeless and we're also timely.
Do they design for each region?
What we try to do is get consumer insights from various markets, and we've conducted consumer segmentation studies in many different markets around the world, including in China. We did a very in-depth study, and we do that from time to time, and that allows us to gain insights and understand our consumer needs better and to constantly react to them. And Eureka as an innovation center helps us deliver to that need state.
Founded in 1853, Levi's has weathered the storms of the American Civil War and the Great Depression. However, in the last 2 years, Levi's has been faced with an unexpected competitor, yoga pants. According to market research firm NPD, these sports pants have produced an equalizer with jeans for the first time, with the sales volume of women's jeans decreasing by 8%. High-end, expensive jeans have suffered the most. In fact, NPD found that from March 2013 to March 2014, the sales of jeans priced over $75 have decreased by 32.5%.
Arun, tell me about the production numbers around the world. There's a video online from Levi's that says European factories make 12,000 pairs per day, or 300 million pairs per year. What about here in Asia? What are the numbers?
I'm not able to share specific production data, but what I can tell you is that Levi's sells millions of pairs of jeans around the world, and we are the leading jeanswear brand around the world. So for 142 years, we've enjoyed that position. And I think that through innovation, through consumer focus, through a great consumer experience, we expect and hope that we're around for another 100 years to fulfill consumer needs.
Tell me about your sales worldwide. Are they coming from overseas Chinese?
So Chinese people are traveling in large numbers overseas. I believe there is a statistic out there saying that about 100 million Chinese traveled outside the country last year. As they travel the world, they see and experience our brand in different parts of the world. And I think that helps our brand positioning. It helps our relationship with the consumer as they truly get to understand Levi's presence around the world and get to access the brand in markets other than China.
And where are you seeing the greatest number of sales? Still in the USA?
The US is still our largest market, and but in terms of strategic focus, certainly going forward, China is at the centerpiece of our company's growth plans.
When do you think China will overtake US sales? Everyone wants to know that.
I think if you read economic forecasts, people are already saying that China is well on the way to becoming the world's largest economy at some point. I think for now we are focused on making sure that we have a great product and a great brand and a great consumer engagement story in China. And that's what we're focused on doing for now.
Now, we've talked about your design center in San Francisco, Eureka, but I understand one of the employees, Stephanie, has come from Eureka to China now, so there's this cross-cultural exchange. What is she coming here to learn?
As a global company, we constantly move talent around the world to provide exposure to them and learning and development to them, but also to ensure that we're bringing the very best practices to our business in every market. As part of that, we have brought Stephanie into China. She will be here for a period of time, and she will help us address needs of consumers in a better way with a better understanding of targeting products to consumer needs. So this here is our showroom where we show the new season's collections and helps us to set up our stores and also to introduce the product to our teams. Let me introduce you to Stephanie, who is our merchant head, and she's going to be talking about some of the great products we have.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Seams. I'm the Director of Merchandising here in Greater China. I recently relocated from San Francisco about 6 weeks ago, so very new to be on the ground here in Shanghai. We were working on the new women's denim collection. So we started from scratch, we looked at all of our fits, and once we got to a good place, we actually took all of our fits out on the road to what we call a fit safari. So we traveled to France, Spain, Germany, Sweden, China, Japan, and the US. So really all over the globe. And we tried our jeans on more than 300 people. But we also talked to the consumers to see what they were really looking for in their favorite pair of jeans. And what we learned was that fit was by far and above the most important thing to her. So particularly when we were in Asia, we paid very close attention to fits in the Asia market. So I'd like to take you through some of the details of our Asia fits. Like I mentioned, we design fits specifically for the Asia body type. And what this means is we have a slimmer thigh. So the measurement of the thigh will be a little bit slimmer. We've also adjusted the knee. So the knee has a little bit more room and the length is shorter. The waistband has been adjusted so that it doesn't pinch her in at her sides. And then on the back, we've also adjusted the shape of the seat so that she looks and feels flattered in combination with the pockets. So the pocket size is slightly smaller and a little bit more positioned higher so that it lifts her.
How much do you spend on social media or perhaps product placement, endorsements? Do you engage in any of these things?
So our marketing campaign, I'm not sure if you've had the opportunity to see one, the Live in Levi's campaign, which essentially brings to life consumer stories, because we believe that your jeans tell the story of who you are, where you've been, what you've done with them. And we've encouraged consumers to come forward and tell their stories through the Live in Levi's window. We've engaged...
And that's globally or
That's a global campaign. Okay. And we've got Sean Yu, who's an actor, and then we've got Ai Fei. She's a singer, a musician, and Levi's, as you may know, has always been connected with the world of music. Through them, we are telling the Levi story because they're both great Levi's fans. And through them is an invitation to invite other Levi's fans to come forward and speak about how they live in Levi's, what is their relationship with the brand, and how they've experienced it. Really, we're encouraging consumers to tell their life stories because we believe that Levi's is not just a pair of jeans, it's a relationship you have in the way you live your life, and because the jeans tell your story. We're finding that consumers of all age groups are using it, but we're finding in particular that consumers between the ages of 20 to 30 seem to be the most engaged with some of these channels. But again, it's very, very widely dispersed. I mean, that could be one age range that seems to sort of form the bulk. Yeah.
If we look at Levi's in the USA and pop culture, Levi's pop up with Madonna, Elvis, a lot of cultural icons. What about here in China? What are you surprised by? Where have you seen Levi's where you haven't spent money on product placement?
We encourage consumers to experience the Levi's lifestyle, as we like to call it. And our fans are able to style themselves and dress themselves in a way that speaks to their own personal sense of style. And through the Live in Levi's campaign, through sharing that story, that's how we get consumers to share their experiences and their engagement with the brand.
But a lot of us know in the industry that it costs about 100,000 RMB to get one movie star to promote one Weibo or one WeChat, 100 to 150,000 RMB. But what about, is anyone here in pop culture promoting Levi's without the endorsement, without the payment?
We use a variety of assets to bring our brand to life in the market. So I mentioned traditional media. We use social and digital media. We have a strong online presence. And of course, through our stores, where associates talk to the brand and the product and help consumers find their look and their style.
Let me ask you about the most expensive pair of Levi's jeans sold at an auction. It was an 1879 pair of Levi's. Who bought that and what was the price?
So my guess is this is the jean you're talking about where we bought it back, and this is the oldest pair of Levi's that's known. It's in fact, it's stored in a fireproof vault in our offices in San Francisco. And that really truly speaks to the heritage, the history, the authenticity of who we are as a brand and how we've not only been timeless but also timely, as you can see in China. Today we've got young fans engaging with the brand, and then back to that product you just mentioned from 1879, that pair of jeans, which we still hold true to who we are and how dear it is to us. That's the history of the company. That's where we come from. Those are our roots.
一般什么时候会说要想再来找一条牛仔裤？
就是我最近都没有牛仔裤可以穿或者替换的话，就去买了。
怎么可能没有替换？
那你能够接受一条好看的牛仔裤最贵到多少
？1500以内吧，就是特别好看。
愿意为一条你喜欢牛仔裤花多少钱呢？
这个牛仔裤1000块以下我应该可以接受，太贵的话要考虑考虑。但是如果1500，会觉得喜欢就买吧，就这样。但如果1500特别好看的话，我会纠结。女人是不是都这样？
Arun was the vice president of Starbucks Greater China before Levi's. He was born in India and earned an MBA in New Zealand. He has lived in over 10 cities. Now he and his Chinese wife have settled in Shanghai. Stay tuned to hear more about his personal journey.
He was one of the youngest hedge fund managers on Wall Street.
8月份出道，10月份发生亚洲金融危机。
你的第一位客户，
他给了我60万美金，1年就赚了300%。
And is the darling of Chinese entertainment media.
我们的婚房可能也不止2个亿，所以说。
有人说新娘子一定是看上了你的钱。
我希望她能看上我的钱，那就很简单。
On the next Minds of Millionaires, we meet Jiang Kai, chairman of China Fund. Stay tuned.
也是第一次发现有这些材料。第一个是检察长济南，第二就是香川郡中国检察官签。
Please the tribunal, I will read the prosecution submission against the defendant Itagaki Sashiro.
我今天能高居审判台上，来惩罚这些元凶巨队，都是我千百万同胞的血肉换来的。
The International Military Tribunal for the Far East sentences you to death by hanging.
70年という節目の年にやはり、きちんとお詫びすべきところは、謝罪をすると。
别等动物帮你说嗨。绿箭，你我清新开始。
他们对待墙壁也这么温柔，用的是打磨跑车的工具，真的很专业。早知道涂刷这么简单，就不用忍那么多年啦。不用我们大扫除。
立邦刷新服务，不用你动手，400-821-5757。
我饿了。不在状态，神丢了。还好有脉动，脉动富含维生素群，让你随时脉动回来。
宝宝醒来开心，因为新邦宝适带来精致睡眠。它有神奇锁水珠珠，锁住整晚尿湿，干爽长达12小时。邦宝适。
麦芽的香气。
行家呀，尝尝我自创的拔丝煎面。
这个面甜到掉牙了。
是你牙齿不好吧，大叔？
我知道，吃完来2粒。
我就要吃，爱牙有益达，吃完喝完嚼益达。普通洗面奶洗完会紧绷，还不快用！全网销量爆款，妮维雅男士控油不紧绷，含墨角藻精华，舒润洁面，温和控油不紧绷。妮维雅男士，迈出你的第一步。
真的有这么丝滑吗？
德芙总想心丝滑。
When was your first trip to China?
The first time I was in China was in 1996. I came as part of a business trip, and we traveled to Beijing and to Shanghai.
So different back then, wasn't it?
It's such a tremendous change. I'm always staggered by the pace of change and the progress, and frankly, the excitement that China has created just for every brand, every company, and certainly for me personally, watching it grow and develop and change.
What was your first impression, and do you still think of that as you live in China now? I mean, in 1996, you didn't know you were going to be living in China, right?
Yeah, certainly didn't. But just to share with you another personal side of my life is that in 94, 95, when I was studying in New Zealand, I met my wife, and she happens to be from China, and so certainly was engaged with a little bit of Chinese culture and understanding, and then certainly coming to China in 1996 on that trip was a validation in many different ways. Partly I was all very, very keen and interested in learning about the culture and seeing and experiencing it, but also as a student reading about China's explosive growth and having seen it firsthand when I came here back in 96 and then 97, and then over the years I've been coming consistently and regularly, just seeing all that transformation happen. What people projected and talked about has really come to life, and at a pace that nobody could have imagined.
In what ways? What are some examples?
I think in ways big and small. Just the evolution of the consumer, the evolution of retail, the choice that consumers have, the level of sophistication they've reached, the online revolution, the digital revolution.
Not to mention even the buildings, the infrastructures, the metros, the high-speed rail. 10 years ago,
that is
we didn't have that.
so visible and so real. I often take the train to Beijing because I find that so convenient. It allows me to work on the way.
I'm fascinated by the mix of multinational brands, and recently I interviewed Mike Crawford with Four Seasons Asia Pacific director, but he came from Disney. So he's got Disney and Four Seasons, two top brands. You have Starbucks and Levi's now. You were with Starbucks for a number of years. Tell me about your Starbucks experience. What did you learn there? What are you bringing to Levi's from that?
I learned many things at Starbucks, and certainly one thing I've learned throughout my career is that consumers always want to be understood. They always want great products, great service. They always want the best quality and the best value, and they always want a great experience. And I think regardless of industry, regardless of the type of product that we may be selling, consumer experience is supreme, is central, and is important. And by focusing on that, I have been able to ensure that the one thing that matters the most receives the most attention.
Now, of course, Starbucks is an F&B, food and beverage brand, but Levi's is a fashion brand. What is similar and what is different?
I think the consistent thing between all brands that are great is the consumer experience, and they're focused on delivering a great consumer experience. Starbucks does that in a great way in their stores, and they often say it's not just about the coffee. It's about the social engagement, the opportunity to meet friends and family. So it's a lifestyle. And I think Levi's does exactly the same. It offers a lifestyle. It offers consumers fantastic products that have been tested and tried and loved by generations of consumers across the world. At the same time, it's relevant, it's modern, it's stylish, and it speaks to their lifestyles today. So being true to that consumer experience and delivering to that promise has always been central, regardless of any brand, and I think all successful brands are good at doing that.
How important was it to you at Starbucks and now at Levi's to actually visit the stores, visit the locations?
I spend a lot of time in stores because that's where the rubber hits the road and that's where consumers shop. It is extremely important to ensure that I have a ground-up understanding of the products we're selling, how we're providing service to consumers, are we meeting their expectations, and are we providing a great shopping environment. So I've done this year as my goal to get to as many cities as I can across China. So I began the year, let me share with you that I began the year in January in the middle of winter in Harbin, traveled down to Changchun, was down in Shenyang, Dalian, Tianjin, Beijing. I've covered all of the Fujian province. I've been in Guangzhou a few times this year. I just came back from Chengdu and Chongqing, and I was recently, a few weeks ago, I was in Changsha. So I'm looking to get around everywhere, and my next couple of places to visit in September, I hope to get out to Urumqi because it's obviously it's a great market for our brand and for our products, and we have a great number of Levi's fans there. At the same time, also fascinated to see another part of the country and experience another part of China.
Now, when you visit the stores, do you tell the employees who you are, or do you go in as a mystery shopper?
They usually know when I'm coming, but I also spend time looking at all of retail, not just in our stores. So I think that I get the opportunity to shop other brands by looking at what they're selling, how they're delivering a consumer experience, and then also visiting our own stores where I spend a great deal of time talking to our associates and understanding what consumers love and want and what they need more of or less of, and how we can innovate on the consumer experience. I think it's through building this holistic understanding of retail in general in many different cities across China, and then also particularly within our own stores, that helps inform how we develop for the future.
For a company that sells jeans, Levi's dress code, no doubt, allows for employees to wear jeans to work. But in Levi's Shanghai office, you can certainly find far more denim elements than this. Following Arun, we find the little objects on the door handle in the hallway. The denim clothes are all over the conference room wall. And even more, there's a couch covered with denim. And and Arun was more than proud to talk about his team.
So this, in fact, is my team. It's a representation of my team. First, I loved it. So I decided to steal the original one for myself. As you can see, that's probably me. And so this is where the ship is sort of being controlled from. And then we've got all of the team over here. So this is Eleanor, who's from our legal department. This is Raymond, he's our financial controller. This is Claudia, she's our head of retail. And the best part is that they actually do look a little bit like this. So even these are cartoonish representations. If you call any one of the team, they can identify who this person is. That's quite fun. I think in here you can see that the team is together. We're sailing on the same boat towards the same goal. And we have a common purpose. We're united in that purpose. But also what's important, I think, here, we try to represent that, all business is about a matching of the hearts and the minds. And together, when we have a matching of hearts and minds, then we can create magic together. That's what will make the business.
Arun, I know our audience very well. They interact with me throughout the week. I know their demographics to a T. There are a lot of overseas managers, CEOs who watch our show who want to understand China, but there's also a lot of 80s and 90s generation Chinese who watch our show. Their English is perfect. Some of them have studied abroad. Many of them are local. They are probably fans of Starbucks. I think they are. And Levi's, I'm not sure. But they may be wondering, why would you leave Starbucks to go to Levi's?
Well, let me share with you two things. First, I'm absolutely delighted to be in China because the opportunity with Levi's as part of the China business has brought me into a market, into a city, and as part of a culture that I want to experience. And so this is a wonderful personal opportunity for me.
Arun, tell me, what do you learn from your traveling around China?
I've learned a great deal. Also, the fact that China is so diverse. There are so many different regions, different climates, different food habits, and so many different dialects where people, from one province may be speaking 2 or 3 dialects. So it's very, very varied, very rich, and very diverse.
And what do you discover as you're on the road?
Discovered many different foods. I certainly experienced different foods.
Sichuan, Chengdu.
I love Sichuan food, and certainly enjoyed food in Chengdu and Chongqing, and enjoyed the seafood down in Fujian. I've enjoyed the Yue Cai down in Guangdong, and certainly also Hunan cuisine was one of my favorites. So Xiang Cai down in Changsha. So just a huge diversity of peoples, of dialects, of food, and climate, and it's just been fantastic. Because I was in Harbin recently, I mean at the start of the year, in fact, in January, and I had never experienced, minus 20 degrees. So for me, it was the first time to be in such cold weather and see the ice festival. So as I'm out there, doing business and looking at stores and looking at what consumers are up to, I do take the time and the opportunity to experience the wonders of China, in terms of its culture and the rich heritage.
You're absorbing the cultures and the food as you're traveling around, but how does that alter the experience of the Levi's stores, region by region?
It gives us a great appreciation of the diversity that is China, but also gives us a great appreciation for the opportunity that we have in this market. Our stores need to cater to and provide to very different climate zones. They need to provide product that is of different sizing. So as you go from north to south, the stature of people in terms of size and the fit does vary quite a bit, and gives us truly an appreciation of what we need to do in order to ensure that we're always meeting the consumer where they are, and the product and the size and the fit that they would appreciate.
因为我们这次采访的是大中华总裁嘛，说如果你可以问他一个问题，你会问他什么？
能为我们中年男士设计一下价位更亲民的款式吗？
多设计一些对中国人的衣服吧，因为我觉得 Levi's 其实对国外的人的身材还是比较适合的。他们就是那种手长腿长的那种人，就是衣服袖子来说也是，我们中国人穿的袖子一般都要扁一截上来。
come to India, I mean, the world is your home now, and your friends ask you, what's China like? What do you tell them?
They're always fascinated. For those that haven't been here, they have a lot of questions. They want to know what it's like to live here. They want to know how they, what does it really look like? You know, is China really modern, or is it, you know, because they have stories that they hear, they read about, and certainly see it on TV, but to experience it in real, they want to understand the whole thing. And I think certainly going into India, where India is another large country with a lot of history and heritage and culture, and you know, would like to model themselves on the same sort of economic growth that China has experienced. There's a lot of curiosity, inquisitiveness, and wanting to understand what it's like to be here.
I understand you studied an MBA in New Zealand. Why choose New Zealand?
I've always been fascinated by New Zealand. So back in geography class in school, in boarding school, I would see pictures of trams in Wellington, pictures of Christchurch. So it was always this sort of magical, faraway land that sort of fascinated me. And I was in Indonesia back in 1992, and I happened to have a colleague who had studied in New Zealand, and he told me more about New Zealand, so that's reignited old memories, and he encouraged me to check out, because I told him I wanted to complete a management degree, and he recommended I should go to New Zealand, and so I started to explore it once again, and ended up at the University of Waikato in Hamilton, which is where I completed my degree, and I lived for a number of years in New Zealand. Truly fascinating, magical, beautiful place. I really enjoyed my time.
You went from one of the most populated countries to one of the most least populated countries. Is that right?
It was, yes, and it was initially quite an adjustment going from such a busy place to such a quiet place. But then in time, I got to appreciate the beauty that was in New Zealand.
Do you miss that?
I am there quite often. So yes, I have friends there, and I do go there as often as I can. And I do enjoy being there, but right now I'm enjoying my life here in China as well.
Now tell me about your wife. She's Chinese, isn't she?
Yes, she is Chinese. Yes.
How did you meet her?
We met at university. We were students together at the management school, and you know, that's how we sort of got together, and then we've been married almost 18 years now.
Wow, congratulations. And where is she from?
She grew up in Henan province, and her family is originally from Luoyang, but she spent time studying in Beijing and then has been outside China for several years.
Now, I know you rely on your staff to understand the China market, but how much does she help?
Well, she is my Chinese language guide at home, and certainly you know, being married and living together for 18 years has taught me quite a few things. And she's not just my cultural guide, but also my source of support and strength. And I think that although she's not obviously involved with my work, she provides me a lot of knowledge and information about China and Chinese culture, which then helps me to relate better in the workplace as well.
The Levi's working language is probably English, but what about your home language? What do you speak?
The home language switches between Chinese and English, and my son, who is now 12, he's fluent. He can read, write, and speak Mandarin, and certainly I am a novice in this area, and I continue to learn every day.
Excellent. Arun, thanks for joining our show.
Thank you for having me.
We wish you every success in the future.